Hey, everybody, what's going on? Keith Niebuhr of Gators Online for a rapid reaction to Florida's 33-8 win over Tulane in the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa. We're joined by our reporter who covered the game, senior reporter for Gators Online, Zach Albaverdi. Zach, 33-8, Florida finishes the season on a high note, 8-5. What are your just general takeaways of what you saw out there today? And then we'll dig into the season as a whole.
Well, it wasn't pretty for three quarters. There's no doubt about that. Florida had trouble scoring in the red zone. It was a sloppy game. Obviously, Tulane did not have its best effort down its quarterback. But about the halfway through the third quarter, the Gators started to find some success. They finally had a breakthrough in the red zone and scored. And then that just kind of opened the floodgates. They get two late touchdowns in the fourth quarter, basically run away with the game. Could have been a shutout until a late touchdown by the Green Wave. But just DJ Lagway, he overcomes two first-half interceptions, some really bad decisions by him on both of those plays, responds from that to end up with 300 yards passing. He set the Gasparilla Bowl record with 305. And then on the defensive side of the ball, the Gators down several players. Caleb Banks, Cam Jackson. You didn't have your two outside linebackers, Jack Pyburn and TJ Searcy. And yet these guys had three takeaways, three turnovers on down. They had three and outs, and then, had a shutout right there until the end. So all things considered, Keith, it was about as well as Florida could have wanted this night to go.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the statistics. I can't even get that word out. Stats. Florida, Zach, 529 yards. That's pretty good. Tulane, 194. Now, look, they were without their starting quarterback. He went in the transfer portal. He's headed to Duke. But 194 yards is 194 yards. And we need to point out about half of that was in the last few minutes of the game. So a great job by the Florida defense. Florida won the turnover battle. Florida forced 3 interceptions. When you start talking about, how you win games, Florida has won these last 4 games. Look, it's a 4-game winning streak, and they've done a lot of it on defense, Zach. Turnovers forced again and again and again, and we saw that today. They were clutch. Tulane averaged, let's look at this real quick. Well, first of all, Tulane was only 3 of 13 on third downs. Tulane only had 11 first downs. They were never really Florida was the better team from the start, Zach. It just wasn't showing up on the scoreboard, right? It was 6-0 at the half, and then Florida blew Tulane away in the second half. But Florida was the better team from the start. Just a kind of a dominant way to go out to finish the season, wouldn't you say?
It was, and I gotta, kind of be remiss if I didn't mention this, especially early on in this rapid reaction. This was the Desmond Watson legacy game. I think Florida fans will forever remember number 21 and what he was able to do in the Gasparilla Bowl in his final game as a Gator. He'd already had a memorable play on defense early in the game with the third down stop where he lifted Ty Thompson into the air. But then something that Florida fans have been calling for ever since he had that fumble recovery and run against South Carolina a couple of years ago was Desmond Watson getting able to tote the rock on offense, and he got a chance late in the fourth quarter. They put him into the game for what Billy Napier called the Hawk package, and owed to his high school mascot there at Armwood, and he got a carry for a first down, lined up at fullback, and that was honestly, Keith, the highlight of the night. I mean, this stadium went nuts when he got into the game on offense.
It was really kind of an interesting game because of the way it started and then the way Florida finished. But Zach, I think this game shows that, Florida may not win this game as comfortably with the last 2 teams. Let's put it this way. Obviously, this team's got a better record. I get all that, but we saw depth. All the guys that have gone on the portal that didn't play, and Florida didn't skip a beat. Tulane lost some guys too. We need to point that out in the effort of fairness. But Florida lost Jack Pyburn, like you said. He was on. Yes, Caleb Banks, Cam Jackson. I think I looked it up. If you looked at all the guys that you listed as being out for this game, it was about, I think, 10 guys that would have been week 1 or week 2 type starters. Now, I'm including Graham Mertz, and I think the team is better with DJ Lagway. I'm sure a lot of people watching would agree too. But, almost half of the team's starters not in. They're recruiting well. They're building depth. Are they closing the gap with the big boys? That remains to be seen, but we think so. But the depth today, and Zach, a lot of young guys doing things. We saw those last few drives. Fletcher Westfall was out there at offensive tackle. Miles Graham, the son of Gator great Ernest Graham, with an interception. He's had a heck of a season. In fact, I had somebody recently tell me they think he's going to be the absolute star of the defense in the next couple of years. So a lot of young guys got time too. And so not only does Florida get the win, Zach, but they got all these young dudes out there playing, contributing. Katie Daniels looking good. How important is that moving forward, that these guys were able to get some valuable experience, not only today, but this whole season?
Yeah, but especially today, this was a game in which, as many of you know, does not count against your red shirt. So all the guys at Florida only allowed to play 4 games this year so they could keep their red shirt. They could put them out there tonight and not have it count against their eligibility. And with that, Florida was able to get a lot of guys some experience. Certainly the way that the game played out in the second half and in the fourth quarter allowed them to get even more guys in the game. But this is huge for the Gators. This was the final game for a lot of seniors, and they wanted to send those guys out the right way, and they did. But this was also an important week and some important practices for the future of this program. And a lot of these freshmen and second-year players that are going to be playing key roles for them in 2025. And given the way that they played, I think they have to like the results.
Zach, you touched on this earlier. Let's go over DJ Lagway's numbers. 22 of 35, 305 yards, 1 touchdown, the 2 first-half interceptions, completed 63% of his passes. He came into the game completing 59% of his passes, and actually over the last few games, the percentage was much lower than that. So completion-wise, really good game. QB rating 134. Jaden Baugh, 14 carries, 70 yards. Another freshman, Katie Daniels, freshman running back, 5 carries for 5 rushes, I should say, for 57 yards, because he did pick up a fumble on the 127-yard touchdown. He's explosive. Anthony Rubio, the preferred walk-on, scored his first touchdown as a Gator. Receiving-wise, Shamir Dike goes out in style. His last game as a Gator, 6 catches, 96 yards with a long of 38, which set up, I believe, Florida's first touchdown, but a big one that set up a touchdown. Tony Livingston, the tight end from here in Tampa, 4 catches, 58 yards. Aiden Mizell, one of the future receivers, future stars, I think everybody hopes, 4 catches, 50 yards. So a good overall game. But, Zach, what I love about DJ Lagway, a couple things. He was able to shake off, like you said, not the best start. He was completing passes, but he threw 2 picks over the middle, one in the end zone and another one in the middle, more toward the center of the field. But he was able to shake that off, and he has such big play potential and such command of things and such a presence and a confidence and all that. And I think even when a game when he throws interceptions, you come away thinking, man, this guy can do so many things, man. It's like he makes it look easy. And all week long in Tampa, I interviewed people and they just all said, look, the sky's the limit. He's only going to get better. But he was pretty good today, all things considered, Zach, once you got him past those interceptions. Never got down on himself.
And I think it's important to note, too, he had his starting right tackle and starting right guard out of this game. And you had 2 inexperienced guys getting the nod on the right side. And Caden Jones, Bryce Lovett, who made the move from right guard where he's been playing to right tackle. He's got that position versatility. And then you had Cam Waits at right guard, had some struggles tonight. At one point, they put Rod Kearney in the game to replace him. That had to weigh on DJ, knowing that he was getting pressure more often from the right side. There was a lot of rollouts. I think that they probably designed their game plan knowing that they were going to be down those linemen. So the fact that he was able to deal with that, overcome the turnovers, overcome what was, like you said, not a good first half, not just for him, but the offense in general, not being able to score in the red zone, just 6-0 at halftime, and the Gators outgained them by 207 yards in the first half and didn't have enough points to show for it. He came out there in that second half, shrugged it off, made some big-time throws, and created momentum and excitement that now he can carry into the season. Of course, he's going to go back and rewatch those interceptions and be something that he can work on moving forward, but a lot to build on.
Maybe I'm the only one that thinks this, and I know the kid well because I went out and spent time with him in Texas last year during DJ's senior season. I kind of don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that he does throw picks here. In other words, he's playing great, but he's not playing at such a level that he's going to develop a big ego or that he's not going to go into the offseason thinking he doesn't need to work. It's right there. He's going to know that he still has a lot to improve on. And I think with his work ethic and his attitude and his desire and demeanor and just everything about him, I mean, you just can't praise him enough. But again, I actually think it's a good thing that it's pretty obvious there are some things to work on because he's going to be smart enough to recognize that. He's a highly intelligent young guy. I'd tell you that right now. Zach, this team was 1-2 out of the gate. Embarrassing loss to Miami in week 1. I mean, we're sitting there looking at each other in the press box like, this might not work out. Right? This could be a 3-win season. A couple weeks later, get run over by Texas A&M. They rushed for 330 yards at the Swamp, and they're 1-2. Things don't look good. And this team really turned it around. Now, they didn't win a championship. This isn't one of the marquee bowl games, let's say. But at 8-5, with the 5th toughest schedule in the country, we may be looking back at this team 5-10 years from now, potentially, and saying, that's the group that turned this around. That's the group that got the ship righted, right? And it's fitting because you got that pirate ship in the background. I think this team's going to be pretty fondly remembered, Zach, especially if it's the launching point.
You're right.
Bigger things. But what are your just general thoughts about this team?
I think you make a great point, and I think that it was going to be very easy for this group to kind of cave once they had that 1-2 start. And there was all the rumblings and there was all the talk out there about Billy. These guys just went back to work. And the way that not only they bounced back from that stretch there early, but also the stretch against Georgia and Texas, where they had finally found something on defense. They had some momentum. They pretty much damn near beat Tennessee. And then they go out, blow out Kentucky, and you feel like things are starting to trend for them in the right direction, and then boom, their starting quarterback, DJ Lagway, gets hurt against Georgia. They lose that game despite a really impressive effort with Aiden Warner, and then just go out there and get blasted at Texas. And that really could have taken a shot to their confidence, and that didn't happen. They were able to know that they were getting DJ back. They were getting Elijah Badger and some of the other guys that didn't play in that Texas game. And the way that they have turned the tide on this 4-game winning streak to close out 2024, it's what this team will be remembered by. It's what fans will remember this season for. And you're right. If they end up going on a run and becoming a championship program, this will be the start of that.
Just a couple more thoughts here, Zach, and we'll let you get back to work here. But I'm going to make a point. You can agree or disagree with me. Then I want to ask you one kind of takeaway question. You know, people thought maybe this team's going to mail it in when they were 1-2. They didn't. Why didn't they? You know, for all the stuff that gets thrown at NIL, right? People trash NIL and where college football may be headed every day. Not everybody, but a lot of people every day. But now when you're 1-2, you've still got to essentially play for a paycheck, and you've got to continually try to impress people, or your paycheck could get less. Or if you do really well, it could be more. So Florida goes 8-5, and now you've got a bunch of guys on the team that are probably going to be making more money next year because they didn't mail it in.
Yeah.
Zach, any thoughts on that?
Of course. I mean, you're also, you're playing for pride.
Yeah.
You're playing for certainly the guys that are in the mix for the NFL or will be in the next year. You certainly want to put good tape on film for scouts and coaches and what have you. But yes, just on the NIL point that you make, of course, you want to continue to earn more money in college. And you want to show that you're deserving of a raise. The next time it's time to sign an NIL contract. And a lot of these guys earn raises for 2025 with the way they played this year.
8-5, Zach, with the 5th toughest schedule in the country after a 1-2 start, after your starting quarterback goes out, after you lose 9 or 10 starters. It could have gone sideways fast. We might be talking about a new coach right now, and it didn't. And that's a credit to everybody at the University of Florida within that football program, administrative building, all that. But Zach, each season is its own entity, right? So there's no guarantee that this is necessarily going to be a springboard into next year. We'd like to think it is, but one team is not a continuation of the one before it. It is its own separate entity, its own team. That said, there are reasons for optimism moving forward. DJ Lagway, obviously. The team found a way to win. they've started to remember what it's like to win and how to win. You can kind of forget how to win. You forget how to win close games. I was a great coach. It might have even been the coach from the school out west that said, first you lose big, then you lose close, then you win close, then you win big. Florida was losing close. Now they're starting to win close. Today they win pretty handily. What are some other reasons of optimism besides DJ Lagway, Zach, when you look at this team, this program that you cover so closely on a day-to-day basis? Why, if I'm a Gator fan, should I be excited about next year?
Players, I think that the team and the roster and the talent that has been assembled by this staff is impressive. It is improving. It's closing the gap. And you have a good mix of young, promising, encouraging talent and underclassmen mixed with some, veterans and guys that are going to kind of be the core of your team that will return in 2025. The Caleb Bankses of the world, the Jake Slaughters and Austin Barbers. I mean, you got to have a good blend of senior leadership mixed with some impressive young talent. And as we all know, the 2025 cycle is still ongoing. They've got their class signed out of the high school ranks, but they're still adding transfers. And Dallas Wilson, 5-star wide receiver, who just was released from Oregon, was in attendance tonight at the Gasparilla Bowl to see the Gators put on this show. He'll be making his way to Gainesville soon. That's another reason for optimism with guys like Dallas Wilson joining this roster.
They say the biggest jump a college player makes is from year 1 to year 2. So think about that. DJ Lagway makes that big jump, if Jaden Baugh makes that big jump, if Amir Jackson makes that big jump, if Miles Graham and Aaron Childs make those big jumps, if LJ McCray makes that big jump, I don't know. We don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse, right? But there are reasons for optimism. It does feel like better days are ahead. We will see. All right, that'll do it for this season, Zach.
That's right.
8-5, 33-8 win to cap the season, a 33-8 win in the Gasparilla Bowl over Tulane, which, by the way, was 9-4, lost its final 3 games. At one point, 9-2 with an 8-game win streak. A good, solid team, a good, solid win for the Florida Gators. For senior reporter Zach Alberverdi, I am Keith Niebuhr of Gators Online. Make sure you go to GatorsOnline.com for more Florida Gators coverage every day of the year. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining us all season. Have a great holiday season. Be safe, and we'll do it again soon. Take care, everybody.